Hi guys, Alec Peirce, Scuba Tech Tips, here we are. So I've been doing service a long time and I picked up a lot of little ideas, little tips, silly little things. But they make the service easier. And particularly for you guys that are home, who are not working in a professional dive store, in a professional service area. You're not doing regulators all day, every day, as many of us did or do. And so these little tips might be handy for you. Okay, first of all, little tip today, okay? Regulator holders. Right, that's what they're called, regulator holders. Now, there's a variety of ways. If you're working on your regulator, and in this specific video, I'm talking about the first stage. This is the first stage from a Scuba Pro. This is, I believe, is a Scuba Pro Mark 25. Fantastic regulator. If you're working on a first stage of a regulator, you really need something to hold it. That's why it's called a regulator holder. Because you have to put wrenches, Allen keys in there. You have to put there's a special wrench that goes into this slot, or ring wrench it's called, to pull it around, a fair bit of force, and the bottom cap. And then after you take everything out, you got to put them all back in. You got to torque them. Yeah, so you can't do this holding it in your hand. You can get your wife to help you or something, but it just doesn't work. You need a holder. There's a couple of ways to do that. One way that was quite common, certainly for people like yourselves, I hate to use the word amateurs, but just divers, is to put the regulator onto a tank valve. That works really well. I mean, what can be better for mounting a regulator than a tank valve? And put it right on, snug it up nice and tight, and it works pretty well, The one difficulty is that usually when you're servicing your rig, you take the yoke off. You can't put on the valve anymore. So anyway, there's a variety of regulator holders on the market. Lots of them. There's one example. I used one of these myself. It's excellent. It's not cheap. This comes from Scuba. Excellent company. Take a look. Go online. X, the letter X, S, the letter S, Scuba, the letter SC, anyway, XS Scuba. And they sell all kinds of accessories. Any dive store in the world can buy XS Scuba products and then deliver and sell them to you. This is their holders. They're really good. They're very heavy, fairly long, 6 inches long, brass. Plated brass, actually, and it's excellent. So what does a reg holder do? Well, it's very simple. If you want to hold the regulator, then you take out the high pressure port. In this case, the high pressure port, 7/16. You take that out, and you put the 7/16 in. That is, time for lunch. you put that end into that port. 7/16 in, and you put it in snugly, not with a wrench, but you put it in snugly, you see? And now it's in there tightly. Now what you can do is you can take the holder and you can mount the holder. You can see that there, Kev? If you mount the holder into a vise, now it's solid. And you can turn it around because it's hexagonal. Turn it off with there, so now you can put the wrenches on and take bits and pieces apart. So that's what's actually meant by a regulator holder. Now, you notice that this has threads on both ends. Yeah? That's not because you can use both ends. Well, you can use both ends, but that's not the reason. This end is a different thread. This is 3/8. 6/16 it's called. No, 3/8. And that one fits into the low pressure port. Regulators today, they didn't used to years and years ago. They were all the same. But today they have a different thread. The low pressure ports are 3/8, and the high pressure ports are 7/16. So there is a typical reg holder for service. And as I say, you can purchase these. I don't think they're cheap. I think you're probably looking at $50 or $60 for that. Maybe you have a friend who's a machinist, or maybe you're a machinist yourself. You can actually make one. But anyway, there's one. So you're working on your regulator, and it's not, you put the slips and something goes wrong. Damn. I wish I had one of those reg holders that Alec Peirce was talking about on Tech Tips. So all you need to do is, if you don't want to buy the tool, is just go to the hardware store, if you don't have them already, and pick up 3/8 fine thread. And that 3/8 fine thread, you'll find, look at that. You got a tool holder, a regulator holder. Look at that, amazing, huh? And then you'll find as well that if you go and get the right thread for the high pressure port, it screws right into the high pressure port, and now you got your high pressure port as well. So now you can take that and grab it in the vise and do the work on your regulator. You haven't spent a penny for a reg holder. Now, dive store owners, most of them would know about this, but not all of them. Most of them would say, gosh, I got to get some way of holding the they would go out and they would spend, I don't know how much it is, 50, 60 bucks for one of these. Now you guys have a little bit of a tip. It's not a real big tip, but it could be very valuable if you work on your own regulators. And that's often the case. Certainly if they're American-made regulators. Now if they're not, if it's a Marais or another regulator from outside of North America, then same thing applies. It's the same threads. Scuba regulators, except for one exception, Scuba regulators have standard threads. So all you really need to do, take your regulator into the hardware store and say, give me a bolt to fit that, and get a good sized one, 4 inches long, put it in snugly and grab it in the vise. Yeah. Pretty simple. Simple tip. Might be valuable to you. So you have your own regu holder. It hasn't cost you a cent. Well, maybe a couple of cents anyway. There you go. Another tip from Alec Peirce. Might make your work a little bit easier on the regs. I got more tech tips coming up. More things that you can do for your own equipment to repair it, to restore it, to make it perform better, or just for fun. All right. Talk to you soon. Alec Peirce. Tech tips here at Adventure Sports. Take care. Bye-bye.